You have your criticality framework documented, your maintenance tactics are selected, your work management process is mapped out. Yet, your lines are still stopping short of their production targets because your departments are operating in silos. To get your facility running consistently, you need to connect your technical departments. We do this by implementing the 3 final disciplines of asset management: integration, people, and sustainment. This roadmap outlines your path. By the end of this tutorial, you will have your cross-department data flows mapped, your team's capability gaps identified, and an automated sustainment rhythm locked in place. You only need your current asset registers and your team rosters to begin. Without completing these integration steps, you do not have a functional operating system. You have a collection of disconnected theoretical projects sitting in a binder on a shelf. We start with the single source of truth rule. Any piece of foundational data must live in exactly one dedicated software system, like your CMMS. If your team is operating off parallel, duplicate spreadsheets, the integration is already broken. This flowchart maps the 8 critical data flows that must connect your technical departments. For example, your work management system must feed failure data directly into your defect elimination program. The most common point of failure is right here at Flow 5, the pathway from defect elimination back to maintenance tactics. Often, a root cause is found, but the actual maintenance tactic in the system is never updated to prevent the failure from happening again. To measure exactly how well these pillars are connected for your Class A assets, we calculate the Pillar Coverage Index. Looking at this simulated spreadsheet, we use a strict binary scoring system for the index. An asset scores a 1 only if it has every foundational element, like criticality, a tactic, and a baseline metric. If even one element is missing, like a blank critical spares list, the asset scores a 0. A mature operation will average a pillar coverage index above 80% across its Class A assets. If your average sits below 30%, your system is failing to cover your most important equipment. A low pillar coverage index proves the connections between your departments are broken. When the data fails to flow from one team to the next, any success inside a single department is mathematically irrelevant to your overall reliability. Technical data relies on human execution. Hiring a generally competent engineer does not mean you have hired someone competent in the specific disciplines of asset management. They require different skill sets, like comfort with incomplete failure data and system-level thinking. You must define distinct ownership boundaries for your leadership. The asset manager takes the strategic oversight role, owning the overall plan. The engineering manager takes the daily execution role, owning the weekly schedule and work management. This matrix is your primary diagnostic tool for auditing your team. We map job roles on the y-axis against your asset management pillars on the x-axis. We then rate every person as a beginner, a practitioner, or an expert in each pillar. Look closely at the reliability engineer row. This role requires an expert rating in 3 specific domains: criticality, tactics, and defect elimination. If they only score as a practitioner in maintenance tactics, you have a critical capability gap. When you discover a gap in this assessment, immediately draft a targeted training or succession plan. Without an objective measure of these asset management competencies, your operation relies entirely on the personal knowledge of specific individuals. The moment a key person leaves, your technical framework will immediately degrade. Once your people and systems are connected, you face the problem of system drift. Organizational forces, competing priorities, and staff turnover naturally erode procedural discipline over time if you do not actively maintain it. To force daily integration and catch this performance drift before it stops your production lines, you must establish a rigid, non-negotiable meeting rhythm. This graphic shows the exact chronological cadence you need to hold the system in place. It starts with a 10-minute daily handover, scales up to a weekly schedule meeting, and expands outward into monthly, quarterly, and annual management reviews. To make these meetings effective, you inject leading indicators into them. Monitoring metrics like the Notification Quality Index on a weekly basis gives you an early warning trigger when your frontline data discipline starts to slip. You verify this daily discipline using a 3-layer audit system. You run day-to-day checks on the floor, internal audits across your pillars, and external audits to confirm long-term compliance. The golden rule of sustainment auditing is that you never leave a systemic audit finding as a passive, isolated item on a checklist. In this split-screen workflow, we see the correct response. You take that repeat finding from your internal audit and wire it directly into your defect elimination register. This forces the finding through a formal root cause analysis pipeline so a physical corrective action can be taken. Connecting your audits to your defect elimination loop turns the audit from a passive grading event into an active, self-correcting improvement engine. You now have your cross-department data flows mapped out, your human capability gaps identified, and your sustainment rhythm locked into your calendar. Your next risk is the second 100 days problem. The initial excitement as the implementation phase concludes, the project team disbands, and organizational discipline naturally begins to fade. To prevent this behavioral decay, bring your drift detection KPIs, like your 5Y capture rate, to your very next scheduled meeting. Monitor the inputs to catch problems before they impact your lagging outcomes. Review the final checklist: data flows mapped, index calculated, matrix completed, rhythm locked, audit loop closed. Your operating system is ready to deploy. Asset management is not a static framework you build once and place on a shelf. It is an operational rhythm you must sustain permanently.